Hello there, my name's Fiona from Weekly Sewing Bee, and today I'm making quite a simple as headrest. Now, I know you've seen them, you can, well, you buy them for babies, don't you? And yeah, they're really simple. I'm completely up to date, honestly, scarily up to date. So I am going to make it a bit more adult, and I am going to make it a bit more girly as well. Okay, so basic shape, toilet seat, European toilet seat. Okay, so that's easy enough, and then I'm going to put a frill in it as well. Now I'm going to use the strip of, I've got some nice fabric here, and what I've done is I've hemmed it, and all I'm doing is folding over the edge. So yeah, easy enough. Now I'm not going to do a pattern on it, but we do need to make it long as our neck for the inside seam. Yeah, we can do that, can't we? We can do anything. So, and I must admit, I am literally doing it from memory, from service stations and stuff. So I've got fabric folded over 4 times, and I'm going to cut the centre seam . Lovely. Get rid of that. Get rid of my excess as well, actually, because there's a lot of fabric here. Don't need it all. And yeah, and this is nice, soft sort of linen. It's quite nice. It's nice. It's nice. And it's for my sister, and she loves the colour purple. So I'm going to make it longer. Okay. So I'm going to make it this sort of width, but then I'm going to add an extra seam on. This is so that the seam shows through, and then through the rest of the seam I'm going to have this black strip gathered. So let's make sure I've got all 4 bits of fabric there. Yeah, that's fine. So what I need to do is I need to hem this extra bit, yeah, and then I need to sew this together, and then we're going to do this all in one go. So let's double check that I've got enough there. Yeah, that'll be fine. Okay, now to hem. So, folded it once, folded it twice, and then I'm just sewing. I know, it's quite boring, isn't it? Okay, I've got one of my circles, and I've got the kicky out bit here. I'm folding it once, I'm folding it twice, and I'm hemming. Yeah, I know I could have done just a very boring one, but I thought, well, why not? Why not indeed? Maybe I should do 2 videos, one really boring one and one really easy one. Okay, so it is just a matter, because we're hemming around this curve, that rather than just doing it, I am having to stop the sewing machine and then move on. Now, of course you can pin this, there's no reason, but it is just a matter of getting this round the curve. And this is the hardest hem you'll do ever, because it just is. So rather than I normally sort of place the fabric and sew an inch, I'm sewing every half an inch, as it were. So it's just popping, And now, because we're on the bias, we're across the seam, it is a little bit easier because it's got a little bit of stretch. And there we are. We're just coming up to the end there. So. Coming up to the end of the back, and then I have another, I suppose it's an adverse camber really, isn't it? And then I can push that extra tuck in, and then when I come out of this corner, then I'm on the bias again, so I've got a little bit of stretch. And the more you do of this, the easier it becomes. There we go. I've folded it round and then I've pulled it tight so that I've got that stretch there. Now I'm going to do the other one off camera, but I am going to sew these two together now. So we're now back on the straight and we can see that I've got this little chunk bit, so I can just whiz down to the bottom. Now the reason I didn't use anything like fleece or anything is because, yeah, it's soft, but then I thought, well, it's going to be a bit of a pain because of all the static, so that's why I chose a linen, and it is an offcut from another project, so, you know, it's not that I've bought it specially or anything for it. Okay, so I'm just lining these up here. I need to make sure that kink is out. And I'm going to start sewing. Now you can really curb the corners, you don't need to do that. It would be nice if they were matching though. And then I'm going to sew the inside. And then follow it round. So as these were cut at the same time, we know that there shouldn't be any problem laying them on top of each other, and then they should sew nicely. So okay, that's me. I'm going to follow that down and then I'm going to hem the top and I'll be right back. Hi, welcome back. Okay, so I've done the hemming on the outside of the loop, and I've hemmed the strip and I've turned it inside out. It's quite important to remember to turn it inside out. So I've now got the strip here and I am making sure it's not twisted, which it is. No, it's not twisted. What am I talking about? Yeah, it is. Okay, so I went halfway along the strip, fold it up so the hems are together. I want halfway in between these two, and I want to place that in there, place that over the top, and I want to put a pin in. Okay, now I want halfway hem to hem in between halfway of this, and I'm going to put a pin in. Now, it's really up to you how many halfways you do, because basically what we're going to do is we're going to sew along this line and we're going to push this in there, but we're only going to sew to the next pin. So it really is up to you. You know, if you want lots of pins in there, you can do, and there's no reason not to. So I've just gone halfway and halfway the other way. And I'm going to just take this twist out now because I know how silly of me. And there we go. And I'm going to tuck that in there. So let's just double check that I've got that right. Halfway, halfway. So, and if I wanted to do this one as well, and then halfway along here, halfway in between those two pins, and then place it halfway. So, you know, it's whatever you're comfortable with. Okay, so now that I've got that done, I am grabbing my sewing machine. I'm going to tuck in all my loose ends, because this is the outside edge we're now on. So I'm going to make it as tidy as possible, and that's coming out at an angle. Just whilst I get it in there, so I've got my loose ends in, as it were. Okay, now what I'm going to do, my loose ends are all in. I'm going to pick up, say, an inch, and I'm going to literally push that, so I'm going to sew a centimetre. And then I'm going to pick up, make sure that I've got my fold halfway, and I'm going to push in and then sew. I'm actually sewing about an inch. So I'm going to pick this up. I've got a good couple of inches there, and I'm going to make sure that all of it is under my sewing line. Place this over the top and sew. So what I'm doing is I'm kind of making ruffles, and then the same again. Make sure that my pins are out of the way, and make sure that I don't have any bobbly bits. But even if I do have a little bobbly bit, it's just a fold, it's not a naked edge or anything. Now the machine says it's going over uneven amount of fabric. Well, it is, so the machine is allowed to tell me that. Okay, so I'm picking up, not too much, gets a bit complicated. I'm pushing it in and then pulling that over the top and sewing. So I do like to have things that are one of a kind. That's the whole reason behind crafting and making your own. And then, you know, okay, we've gone for black and purple, which traditionally go together, but you know, we could push the boat out. I personally like the colour lime green, you know, but now, okay, so yeah, joking aside, or not doing anything tricky, I'm just sewing between pins and pushing excess fabric in. I do have to consider my stuffing. Now, in a way, the best place to leave unsewn, do your stuffing and then come back to it, is a straight bit. So, you know, that said. So, I do have to remember to do that. And what I'm going to do is leave a gap at the bottom, stuff it, and then carry on sewing. So I do have to remember to do that. It is the sort of thing I would forget. And there's no amount that you can't do with this technique. There's a, you know, you could have bigger ruffles, you could have more fabric. You know, you just, I suppose what I'm saying is just don't panic, you know. If you only sew an inch, you only sew an inch. It's fine. It's fine. There we are. So, last two pins I'm going to take out. I'm going to do a bit more, and then I'm going to leave a hole. I suppose if I'd have thought about it, I could match match it with her car, couldn't I? But I didn't think about it because she's got a blue car. Okay, stuffing. Okay, you have choices. You can use CE recommended toy stuffing. You can use recycled, or you can use super bounce back, or you can use a pillow. I'm using a pillow. And yes, so sensible size balls right to the end. And another sensible size ball, and then right to the end. So yeah, the only thing I don't like about this stuffing, actually, it's grey. I know, it's not grey, it's just not white. So there we are. I know this is going to take me a while. Right, you can see it's taking shape. Maybe a bit more stuffing right in the end. What did I just say? Yeah, stuffing. Sensible amount of bits right to the end. And then what did I do? Yeah, you never know. Okay, so this is going to take me a good 5 minutes. But when I've finished, then I'm probably going to sort of have a bit less stuffing in this half, and then I'm just going to carry on sewing, but I'm going to make sure that this end is tucked in. So you can see why I said maybe, you know, stop at the top, so you can do that. Alright, so there we are, a very unique, one of a kind neck support for travelling. Thank you so much for watching. My name's Fiona from Weekly Sewing Bee.